Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome back to Nerd Central, with plenty of spooks and scares in store for you before the night of terror. Let's kick it to the news. People of Earth, do not panic, as Prime Video presents the Season 2 trailer of... Based on the groundbreaking comic book by Robert Kirkman, the story revolves around 18-year-old Mark Grayson, who's just like every other guy his age except his father, who is the most powerful superhero on the planet. Starring Stephen Wen, J.K. Simmons, Zazie Beetz, Grey DeLisle, and Jillian Jacobs. We can see how Mark is reeling after Nolan's betrayal as Mark struggles to rebuild his life and faces a host of new threats.
Put me back out there.
We also see how Mark grows and how he might be becoming the one person he resents.
And if you think you can stop us, don't forget, I'm...
Make sure you tune in into Invincible when Season 2 drops on Prime on November 3rd.
Hey look, Morty! I'm a leg! A leg, Morty!
Adult Swim has been making some serious moves over the past week with some of its most popular shows. First, Season 7 of Rick and Morty has started, and we finally got to hear the new voices of our main characters. Ian Cardoni as Rick and Harry Belden as Morty. And both voices sound nearly identical to Roiland's take on the character. The biggest change comes from the fact that there are now two different people playing the characters, so the main cast can now play off each other more effectively. After this episode aired, Adult Swim announced that one of their newest shows, Smiling Friends, and one of their classic shows, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, are both getting more seasons. Aqua Teen Hunger Force is getting a Season 12, and Smiling Friends is getting its Season 2. The latter hasn't gotten a release date yet, but Aqua Teen Hunger Force Season 12 will release on November 26th. That's all we have for news, but next we have Rumor Has It with a spooky special countdown. And then we have Film Finds diving into the foxhole of Fantastic Mr. Fox.
On this week's episode of Rumor Has It, I'm switching it up a bit and giving you a Halloween special where we will be reviewing my top 5 favorite and most iconic best celebrity Halloween costumes. Some celebrities take Halloween more seriously than others. For those on the more dedicated end of the spectrum, it's always fun to see what they can pull off with a team of costume designers, makeup artists, and photographers at their disposal. Starting off with number 5 is Rebel Wilson, where she and a group of her friends dressed up as Barbies for the Casamigos Tequila Halloween party. What made this group's costume even better was that they added actual plastic Barbie boxes to their outfits to help bring the costume to life. Up next at number 4 is Lizzo, where she dressed up as Marge Simpson. In what is destined to be an all-time classic get-up, the Better and Color singer covered her whole body in yellow makeup and slipped on Marge's signature towering blue hair for a look that was hilariously terrifying. Lizzo took to her Instagram to show off her new look with some Simpson memes which left fans speechless. Sitting at number 3 is Rihanna, dressed up as Raphael from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The singer joined a group of her friends who were also dressed as the remaining Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as they went out for a night out in New York City to celebrate Halloween weekend. The look clearly put Rihanna in a fun mood as she and her pals posed for photos and with fans on the street before heading into a private All Hallows Eve bash. Up next at number 2, we have Heidi Klum when she dressed as Princess Fiona from Shrek in 2018 for her 19th annual Halloween party at La Vogue nightclub in New York City. Heidi's then boyfriend Tom Kaulitz also underwent a transformation to become Shrek, marking the rare Halloween where Klum has been joined for a couple's costume. Each year, Heidi puts on a Halloween bash called Heidiween, where she is able to show off her love for the holiday. Heidi is also well known for going above and beyond for her costumes and always switching them up to keep the viewers on their toes. So I am curious to see, what will the costume for the 2023 Heidiween be? Alright, the moment we've all been waiting for. The number 1 best dressed Halloween costume goes to the Riverdale co-stars Lily Reinhart, Madeline Petch, and Camila Mendez when they dressed up as a different trio, the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. Lily was dressed as Sarah, Camilla was dressed as Mary, and Madeline was dressed as Winifred as they attended Michael Braun's Halloween party. The girls took to Instagram with some Hocus Pocus inspired captions to share their looks and even made a TikTok of them singing along to I Put a Spell on You from the movie. That is all the time that we have for this week's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on what kind of tea you want spilled right here on Rumor Has It.
Hello everyone, my name is Caden Patrick and welcome back to Film Finds. I'll be reviewing films and their Easter eggs as well as details you may have missed. Today's film will be Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox, which was released in 2009. The film is actually an adaptation of the children's book Fantastic Mr. Fox that was published by Roald Dahl in 1970. Dahl was a popular British writer who also wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, and Matilda. Fantastic Mr. Fox follows the story of a clever fox who wants to give in to his animal instincts and revert back to his old habits. These habits then force Mr. Fox and his friends to go on the run and use their animal instincts to survive. Mr. Fox and his family learn various lessons, including that sometimes the best thing you can do is survive. This movie had been on my watch list for quite a while and I fell in love with it from the very first watch. From the cast, to the stop motion animation, to the story itself, I think there's something for everyone to love about this fall classic. And now, let's get to the finds, and as usual, spoilers ahead. Fantastic Mr. Fox is a wonderful film that takes strong inspiration from the book. In fact, it had been the first book that Wes Anderson ever owned, practically making it his destiny to make the movie adaptation. Many of the lines from the movie are straight out of the book, including the children's song about Bogus, Bunce, and Bean, who Mr. Fox steals from despite promising Mrs. Fox that he would no longer steal due to their son Ash being born.
Bogus, Bunce, and Bean, one black, one short, one lean. These horrible groups are different in looks, but nonetheless equally mean.
Next up would be that throughout the movie, not a single curse word is used, but instead it is replaced with the word cuss. It had started out as a way to censor one sentence to keep the PG rating, but then it turned into an entire running joke.
In summation, I think you just gotta not do it, man. That's all.
I understand what you're saying, and your comments are valuable, but I'm gonna ignore your advice.
The cuss you are.
The cuss am I? Are you cussing with me?
No, you cussing with me?
Don't cuss and point
You're
at me.
gonna cuss with somebody. You're not gonna cuss with me, you little cuss.
With me. Just by the tree.
Okay.
At one point, you can even spot a piece of graffiti in the background that just has the word cuss written out on the wall. Fantastic Mr. Fox pays insane attention to detail, from the characters' movements to how they dress to the items in the background. There's intention and meaning in all of it. When Coach Skip asks if it's the first time Christopherson has played Whack-Bat, you can see the shifting of Ash's eyes as he speaks. Another neat detail is how Mr. Fox's fashion is heavily based on director Wes Anderson himself. Costume designers on the set even took the time to contact Anderson's tailors for advice on how they should dress Mr. Fox. Lastly is Ash. Various characters, including Mr. and Mrs. Fox, point out that Ash is different. Ash tries hard to fit in and fill his father's shoes by being an athlete, but it just makes him stick out more. Throughout the film, he struggles with his identity and finding himself as an individual. By the end, Ash learns that it's okay to be different, that different is good. Many remember having watched this film in their childhood, but the first time I watched this movie was earlier this year. The stop motion style and the cast are what drew me in, but the story grabbed a hold of me the moment I started the movie. Ash is a character who has become special to me, and so is the entire movie as a whole. Sadly, that's all I have time for in this week's episode. Fantastic Mr. Fox is a perfect fall watch and a movie that is currently in my top 10. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Film Finds, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Also, I hope you have a happy and safe Halloween.
Christopher Nolan loves to find talent in some of the most fascinating places. Nolan does enjoy using big names like Leonardo DiCaprio and Christian Bale, but he's also a fan of seeking talent from actors who may have fallen to the wayside in recent years. Nolan's latest project Oppenheimer is no exception, with Nolan casting actor Devin Bostick to play American physicist Seth Nettermeyer. But does this face look familiar? After the break, we'll reveal where you might know him.
Here at Tower Yearbook, we are a dedicated staff of photographers, designers, copywriters, and practicum students.
Our staff is a student-led, student-run media outlet, producing a book with over 300 pages.
Be sure to pop out at any of our portrait or distribution events.
So stay tuned to our social media to see what's up.
And coming up next here, I'll have my interview with our new guest here on Who's Next on the X right after this quick break.
Tyler and Dave, we're on in 20.
Good morning.
Not a lot of us do, you know, but maybe this might be your opportunity for that. Yeah.
Who's Next on the X?
Devin Bostic has had an extensive career that spans multiple places, but recently Bostic hasn't seen any major roles simply due to being an actor that has fallen to the wayside. Luckily, Nolan has been searching for people in this exact position. This led him to find talents like Josh Peck from the Nickelodeon show Drake and Josh, and Devin Bostic from his role as Roger Heffley in the Diary of the Wimpy Kid series. With that, let's get into more packs. Now join us as we shoot into space with Star Wars lore and rip into this week's series with Olivia in Anime Stitch.
My name is Joe Huber, back with another episode of Star Wars lore. Today we'll be discussing the Night Sisters and the canon history. The Night Sisters were powerful witches who used the dark side to create magic, native to the planet Dathomir. The Night Sisters were able to tap into the planet's dark energy core, harnessing their powers exponentially. The most powerful of the Night Sisters could use their abilities to do an array of things, which included creating objects out of thin air, transforming people into apparitions of themselves, or even resurrecting the dead like Mother Talzin did to her son, Darth Maul. The Night Sisters were seen as the powerful and wise mages of the planet, living in the stone fortresses that bordered the dead swamplands. The cult of sisters lived in seclusion from the Night Brothers, who were only used as breeders and servants. To join the coven of the Night Sisters, a young woman had to prove her power and loyalty by subduing a strong-willed creature living in the depths of the swamps of the village. Known as a sleeper, they were required to bring back part of his body, the remains of which would be harvested into the water of life, which was a major catalyst in the Night Sister magic. Any woman who gave in to their fears in this test would be dragged down to the depths of the swamp pool and be slaughtered. They never ventured off their home planet as they were strongest when closest to it, a somewhat reverse kryptonite effect like Superman. This later changed when the leader of the clan, Mother Talzin, joined Darth Sidious by his side. Darth Sidious then ultimately betrayed her by kidnapping her son, Darth Maul, when he was just a little boy. Do you remember how Anakin got his scar? The one that crosses his right eye? If you don't, one of the Night Sisters, Asajj Ventress, gave it to him during one of the many battles they had in the Clone Wars. Asajj was donated to a criminal named Hal Stead as insurance for protection. Ventress later turned to her sisters after being betrayed by Count Dooku, asking for their assistance on manifesting her revenge on her old master. After her failure, the Night Sisters used their magic to increase the strength, speed, and size of the Night Brother Savage Opress, who unfortunately was unsuccessful and later died in a 2-on-1 battle with his brother Darth Maul against the evil Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Count Dooku later dispatched General Grievous to find and annihilate the Night Sisters, including Maul's mother, Mother Talzin. Mother Talzin at the time was spending most of her time in her ruined fortress healing the mind, body, and soul of the broken and revengeful son, Darth Maul. After Grievous and Dooku's success in eradicating the sister clan, they let one slip through their fingers, who went by the name Shalish. Shalish's location remains unknown to this day in the galaxy, waiting as she plots to resurrect her sisters somehow, some way, once again. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Star Wars Lore. I'm Joe Huber, and may the Force be with you.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Halloween episode of Anime Stitch. I'm your host, Olivia Williams. For this week, we are tearing into the world of Chainsaw Man. Let's get started. Just a disclaimer, Chainsaw Man is a very mature anime, so please go read the description and warnings before you think about watching the anime. But Chainsaw Man is about Denji, a 16-year-old who was involved with the Yakuza to pay off his late dad's debt by killing devils that threaten the world. After a very tragic incident and almost dying during one of his missions, Denji ends up making a deal with a devil named Pochita that has been with Denji since his father passed away. Now, Denji has become a human and devil hybrid, who has the ability of a devil but doesn't let the devil completely take over his mind and body. And now, he is a part of the public safety demon hunters, to help them go after a very powerful devil that they have named the Gun Devil. Even though this anime is definitely not for the faint of heart, it does have some nice moments though, even though they are far and few between. When we actually see them though, they're really nice, like Denji going to the hospital to check on one of their wounded teammates, and then them returning the favor when Denji is in the hospital. Or when you actually see the soft side of a normally violent and gruesome character. To me, those moments are a huge breath of much needed fresh air, and things I really look forward to in the anime. Now, when it comes to the anime versus the manga, the anime actually does something that most anime adaptations don't really do, and that is being way more violent. The anime actually has a lot more gore and cursing than the manga counterpart. But on the other side, the manga actually has a lot more details than the anime does. So, because of those reasons, this week I'm actually calling another tie, because both anime and manga have things to cater to different types of people. The people who don't want to watch the more extreme violent anime can read the manga, and for the people who like the more violent side can watch the anime. Or people can do both, because the anime and manga are both relatively short, because the manga only has 15 volumes and the anime only has 12 episodes. So because of those reasons, I'm calling it another tie. But that's all the time I have for you guys for this week on Anime Stitch. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're ready for next week's episode, where I talk about the alchemist world that goes wrong, a Full Metal Alchemist. See you then, guys. Bye-bye!
After the break, we clown around with real recommendations. Stay tuned.
KZLX is a student-run radio station where Northwest students have complete freedom during their shifts. KZLX also hosts many radio shows such as Nerdmageddon, Revive, Day-to-Day Picks, and more. To learn more, visit kzlxfm.com.
Make sure you tune in to Bearcat Update this week, as we're going to be covering the homecoming bummer, this week's wins for volleyball and soccer, as well as a few teams making a push towards playoff contention. We're also sitting down with golf star Paige Hoffman. Make sure you tune in, and we'll see you there.
Last, to finish up, we clown around in the world of Terrifier with real recommendations.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Real Recommendations, your go-to place for all things cinema. My name is Caleb McAfee, and in the spirit of this haunted season, we're delving into the depths of horror with a review of Terrifier. At its core, Terrifier is a throwback to classic slasher films with a modern twist. The story revolves around Art the Clown, a silent and sinister figure with a grotesque smile, played masterfully by David Howard Thornton. Art's appearance alone is enough to send shivers down your spine, and his portrayal as a cold-blooded killer is truly haunting. The film's plot is straightforward, focusing on a nightmarish encounter between Art the Clown and two young women, Tara and Dawn, who unwittingly cross his path. While the storyline may not be groundbreaking, it's the execution and relentless tension that set Terrifier apart. The film doesn't waste time on unnecessary exposition, diving right into the relentless cat and mouse chase that keeps you on the edge of your seat. One of the standout features of Terrifier is its practical effects and gore. If you have a strong stomach, you'll be both horrified and impressed by the gruesome and realistic makeup and practical effects. The kills in this film are unapologetically brutal, pushing the boundaries of on-screen violence. It's not for the faint of heart, but if you're a horror enthusiast, this will undoubtedly satisfy your craving for gore. The direction by Damien Leone is worth praising. He manages to create a sense of dread and unease throughout the film, and his decision to keep Art the Clown silent only adds to the character's menacing presence. The film also excels in the use of lighting and sound design to build tension and fear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
However, Terrifier isn't without its flaws. Some may argue that the film prioritizes gore over character development and plot complexity, which can leave viewers feeling disconnected from the protagonists. It's an intentional choice to focus on the visceral horror, but it might not resonate with those looking for a deeper narrative. In conclusion, Terrifier may not be for everyone, but if you appreciate old-school, unapologetically intense horror with a modern twist, it's definitely worth a watch. Just be prepared to sleep with the lights on after you watch it.
Boo! That's all the time we have for this episode of Nerd Central. Thank you for joining me on this spooktastic episode, and if you liked it, make sure to subscribe. Then hit that bell to keep an eye out for new episodes of Nerd Central each Wednesday at 6 on KNWT TV.